Il faut mettre. Je voudrais savoir.
Hello, Kinshasa. This is Venus Kabambi. Can you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, Kinshasa, this is Union Base. I can hear you loud and clear. Well, I'm not seeing you.
Thank you. I can hear you too.
Yes, please. Good afternoon to all.
Yes, I'm seeing you now.
Good afternoon.
Okay, you can see my face now. Yes.
Good afternoon. This is Union Base.
Good afternoon.
Hand up. I can see you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Tu peux changer de chaise.
I don't know. One for this diluted commission. Okay, so I don't know. I'm asking. Yes, it is. Oh, hello. 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 So we will come here. Okay, no problem.
Viens.
Yeah, because there's one on the here. You want me to have two? Okay. See if I can see it.
So this was my booking. So you pay.
That's quand j'enlève, là je peux pas.
Non.
D'accord. Okay. Il y a que ça à faire, non? D'accord. Merci. Et quand est-ce qu'on vient en quoi? En...
I'll start sneezing soon. Is it the 7?
Because there are so many now, it's a little bit confusing. Because I hope it is the right one you come because there are so many. It is another decommissioning project.
I think there's finance aspect there. But they should have somewhere where this thing is.
I'm not sure if it is important. I'm not sure if it is right.
This journey is, I think, through computer. But this is the only VTC in the world.
Yes. But the problem they have to be so many VTCs happening at the same time.
It's supposed to flash on if you move the ball and so on.
3307.
The VTC number?
No.
What?
The extension.
No, the VTC number. Check in the email.
VTC number?
Yes, it's there.
What is that?
It's a 7440.
Yes, there's a number. And for those
But how do you
who
confirm it here? Because it's not written here.
Go check where. It's there. The number is second. For us, it's about the data entry from Galileo to
Hello,
Mona.
Good afternoon, RCE.
Oh yeah, it's the same.
Good afternoon, colleagues. If you can hear us, if you can hear me. Okay. So could you please maybe mute your microphone when we are waiting for some other colleagues, because today there will be all the missions, so there will be a lot of noises. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Amarin from MINUSCA?
Yes, Minuska. Good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you.
Disconnected.
Can you hear me? I'm not savvy to this thing. When you want to talk to me. Oh, yeah. And then you just talk.
And the volume is
When you finish, you will
clear.
is there anything like IN for dash 12?
Yeah, all goes.
No, the other one for tomorrow has a number. So
Okay.
Tomorrow is tomorrow.
yeah, but not for today there's no number.
As I see.
Yeah, that's okay. 744. This is the one you do. I remember the number.
Yeah, of course.
It's okay.
Yeah, because in the agenda there is financial.
Yeah, two, yes.
Because you
I
guys
said there is something like service catalog, there is something.
exactly. Because you guys are going to be assessing if what we are putting in the model is in accordance with the financial reporting. You get the point. We are still learning. This is hard to do, especially if you have to sit here for half an hour. It's not here. It's not crazy. The number is 74406.
Yeah. That is definitely right. Let me
Even worse.
which one is better?
That one, the blue one. Even the plastic chairs here, like in a small bar. You guys should be more serious. Why are they cleaning the plastic chairs?
Because the lower
RCE? RCE, Francois? Yes, okay, thank you. I just want to ask to mute your microphone. It's okay, now it's good. Thank you. Just want to check if anybody is calling to the audio bridge number without the VTC room. Is there anyone joining through the phone only? Okay, I guess not. Okay, because if anybody joining through the phone, we will be sharing the screen through the link, so you can just open the browser and view. But if not, probably we can just stay in the VTC so that you can also see the screen from here. Okay.
Yes, sorry, I'm Mariam from Tripoli, Ansman. Could you give us, please, 5 minutes, because I think we have problem with the zoom of the presentation in our screen.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
just 5 minutes.
Sure, no problem. We will start in about 4 or 5 minutes then. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I know. You can't be phone. Use one C1. That is big enough. Okay, keep big that one. I think that's the biggest.
Good afternoon, MINUSMA MOB.
Good afternoon, MINUSMA. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Brindisi, Sam, are you online now? I cannot see you from the screen. I just want to double check.
Yes, I'm online. Just
okay,
let me know if you wish me to share the screen for the load files, or you will be doing from there.
I mean, yes, you will be. You can share the screen from your side. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I will let you know when we start. Okay.
Am I included?
Is it here? Nobody is coming. This is number 1, eh?
Yeah, it's conference room.
Yes, yes. والله يمسيك أول خير. إيش بدك؟ تاخذ الكوس؟
الناس بالصدر.
يعني خلينا في الطين.
لا هون عشان نفسخ بعين.
على هون
نفسخ بدري.
على الطاولة هون؟ والله ليش مش قاعدين على
Are they washing this room with soap?
No.
What?
It's detergent.
Oh.
Detergent. It smells like soup.
I don't know.
Or sauce. It is soap.
I'm Chief CIT Deputy.
I want to sit there. I'm the CNS.
No.
Good afternoon. Anso.
Remove this. She will stop.
Anso, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Tell him.
Yes, thank you. Maybe could you please mute your microphone, please? Thank you.
Is that us? Was that us?
Yes, Anso. We
good morning.
hear you.
I am from Unisfa.
Good afternoon, Unisfa. We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we will start in about probably 2 minutes. I believe some other colleagues might have some issues, logging in and viewing the presentation on the screen. But just for the, for the essence of time, so maybe I could just go start with, some introduction. thank you for your time, and big apologies that we kind of sent out this notice of arrangement of all this VTC very kind of in a short timeline. But since as you know, we have the very tight schedule on the mock 2 exercise, and in fact some of the activities have already been started. The purposes of this walkthrough, basically we would like to give you the idea. I mean, thank you for every mission that submit the validation, the list of the validator. So basically the validators will be working very closely throughout the exercise to look at the data, to be able to verify, and to be able to kind of give us the sign off in all of these data elements. So it is very imperative that we have this kind of walkthrough, so everyone understand what is the work required and what are expected.
طبعا ايش الشاشه هاي الشير سكرين
هذه هي انت كيف تبين انت؟
لا هاي شاشه البيضاء هاي
هذيك هم اللي حاطين.
لا مش هم احنا يا اخي.
كيف
هاي طلع مينيمايز شايف؟
لا راها في المخبرة.
Omar, close the voice, Omar.
Good afternoon, Omar. Yes, okay, thank you. Okay. So yeah, so it's very important that we kind of kick this off so that the validators and you as a deployment team understand what is expected from this exercise. And if you can see from the screen, we are arranging 3 sessions. Okay. The first one is today, starting from now until probably in the next 2 hours. We will go over 5 data elements. Okay, so I mean you're welcome to come and go, because if you are responsible for which area, I mean definitely you will have to stay, right? This is for today. For tomorrow, we will go over 3 data elements. And then for, 2. Pardon me. I think this is the old list. But if you look at the invitation that we sent out, so basically there will be today, tomorrow, and next Tuesday. Okay, for 1 hour. So this is a bit old list, but just to get some idea of how we group the data elements. Okay, so. This morning, we will start with Sam, okay, and maybe Sam, I'll just hand over this to you, okay?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Baghdad, I think tomorrow we have the SG visit, and I think all VTCs will be occupied.
Okay, so just in case, in terms of the logistic issues, we plan to have the Join Me link, okay? So what you could do is that you could call into the audio bridge number and then log into this VTC, okay? We will send you the link so that you can just open via your browser, and then you can also see the screen. So basically you will listen to our voice via the audio call, and then you can see the screen sharing from the Join Me. But I believe that since today, I guess everybody is on the VTC, so we are not sending out the URL for the link. Okay.
Okay. That's clear. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So Sam, please, stage is yours.
Yes, I hope everybody can see the screen. Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. Just gonna walk you through what is basically the load time.
You cannot see the screen, your screen.
You cannot see the screen? Can you see the screen now?
Not from your English.
Negative.
Unifil we can see.
The other missions can see, we can see.
Okay, what about now?
We can see from Ondov.
Monosco, we can see.
It's not really clear from Anov. Okay, so it's a problem at the mission level. Okay, understood.
Excuse me.
Unami is okay. Unami is okay.
Unscol,
Yes.
hello?
Yes, I'm Mariam from Tripoli, Ansman. We have problem with the presentation. It's appear not okay. The presentation. It is not in the center of the screen.
The screen is becoming
those are-
broken.
I think those are all settings that you have on your local machine.
Okay, we will
So
see,
Kinshasa,
okay?
we can see.
I'll try to enlarge as much as possible the text, so even if you only see a portion of it, it should be okay. Will this work?
No, we still. It's big.
قال لك هو إذا كان أنت تشبه بجزء منها أوكي خلاص إحنا.
Anyhow, let me just start for those, in the interest of time, because some missions can see it. So I think it's a problem on what is the local, let's say, settings of your VTC. If for the next time you can have the technicians, just have a look at it and have it prepared. However, I assume most of you, 80%, has already received what are these load templates. Now, as you all know, when it comes up to the Galileo decommissioning project, we're basically bringing all the functionalities that were basically available inside Galileo to what is Umoja. Now, in Galileo, we had what was the maintenance module. This maintenance module, basically, we had workshops, we had, what were the people that were actually the labor, and the rates for the labor. In Umoja, all this will be done basically in the service delivery module of Umoja. Okay? And the workshops, as they were called inside Galileo, now they will be called what are work centers inside Umoja. So basically what we did is we did a second round of data collection for service delivery. The first round was done for the cost recovery exercise last year. I'm not too sure if any one of you was involved. However, we went for a second round to make sure that basically all what was regarding the maintenance that was done inside Galileo, where missions were capturing the costs, could have been enabled inside the Umoja after the go live. Now, if you have a look at what is the load template, which was sent through Cosmos for validation, okay, we had pre-populated all the templates. What the missions were asked to do was to validate what was the plant and the work center text or name and the cost center associated to it. These were the main points that basically missions were asked to validate. Now, when it comes up to what is preload validation in terms of sign off of the form before upload inside Umoja, this has been delegated to OPPBA, because when it comes up to this exercise, OPPBA has the final word on basically on approving what are the activity types and the rates, because it has financial implications. So it was not left free to the missions to be able to put whatever rate they wanted. OPPBA wanted to maintain what was the governance on it. So basically, as I mentioned, here you have what is the work centers. So we will resend later on a review of what are the work centers that were identified, okay? You still have time before the go live, you will receive additional templates. So if you see that any work center is missing, you can still add basically to your mission or request additional work centers. Now, these have been created because we knew that they did not exist in Umoja. But as I mentioned earlier, as part of the cost recovery exercise, you already have in your mission area, some of your missions already have work centers, activity types, and activity type rates already defined.
for those that are using the service delivery module. Okay? So in a nutshell, just to recap, basically your work center from a Galileo decommissioning project perspective is a little bit what is your workshop, let's say. It's an entity that is basically performing certain kind of activities, and it wants to capture the cost of those activities. Okay? The work center basically is tied to a cost center. So this is when it comes up to work centers. Then we have what are the activity types. Now for the activity types, what we included, because it was always labor, and when it comes up to the maintenance, okay, of your NEP, you will be basically using what is labor costs. Now, after consultation with OPPBA, this is basically what is your international labor costs and your national labor costs. Okay, this is basically under the civilian staff cost element. Has nothing to do with what is contractual services. So basically, if you have an activity that is performed, let's say, for instance, by an individual contractor, okay, so you want to recover the cost, it's going to be a different cost element. So we will have to create an additional activity type if this was not already requested by your own mission. Okay? When it comes up to the activity types, these are more or less what you will need to identify is the name and the description of the activity type. As I mentioned earlier, we have done this on your behalf because we knew that it was basically related mainly to what was labor costs, because this is the way that it was designed inside Galileo. Okay? Then we have what are the rates. Now, when it comes up to the activity type rates, as you see here, we have what is the activity type.
Sam,
yes.
I think the screen is disappear.
Disappear?
Yes.
Is it back on?
No, not yet. Okay, it's coming.
Yes.
Okay, we can see now.
Okay, did you see the activity types? Was it still on the screen?
Sorry, we can't see here from Ondov. We don't see anything.
Undolf, I'm sorry, basically the screen can see is accessible from the other missions. So it must be the local settings.
Unifill we can see.
We have the same issue also in OIC. We don't see the presentation at all. So we cannot follow. We cannot follow you. But can you send the electronic copy of the presentation so maybe we can print it out and follow it?
Yes, Amajin, I sent it to you by email. Do you mind?
Yes.
Because I don't have the group email of the attendees.
Okay, so let me send the files, to all the
We have not
recipients.
received the email.
Okay, let me send out now.
Okay.
Great.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yes, I'm Mariam from Tripoli. Could you send it to us also because we have problem also? Send it to my email elosta@on.org. خلاص.
Microphone.
Yes, it's okay.
Once she got it, she will send it.
Yeah. I will forward.
Okay, I just sent email to the list who are in the calendar invite. Okay, so everybody should be receiving it now, so you can open it and see it.
Yes, but for us, for Tripoli, maybe we have only in Tunisia. Here in Tripoli, I think there is no one list, a new list.
Okay, so I actually just add you to the email just now.
Okay.
So could you please check? Okay.
Okay, thank you. I will check.
Yeah. Okay. Please, Sam. Please go ahead.
So I'll just wait another few minutes to make sure that everybody receives it in the email and is able to open it.
Okay. Sure.
Sam, I think that I'm talking in front of most of the missions. Our conference rooms or video links are not close to our offices. That means to open the file, I just need, to travel. And I think 99% of the missions.
Okay, but you went through it in Cosmos, so you're familiar with what is the file, right?
Yeah, I even see it in front of me. We don't have problem, to see it on a screen, but I'm telling you that means to see the file now, like to other missions who don't see them, they will be impossible for them, to open them. That means better that we continue because nobody will be here able to open it. I see in Iraq, they are in an auditorium, like how they will open anything.
Okay, so let me just finish with what is activity type rates. So basically we said that each activity type, now for this scenario, what we were doing is we were capturing the cost for international and national staff. Now here what has happened is different missions provided different kind of rates, and they wanted to include as well what was UMVs, MELOBs, and basically UN police. These were rejected by OPPBA because they cannot be part of the capturing of the cost, not for cost recovery or anything like that. And as well, OPPBA came back and said that these activity rates should only be used for statistical reasons because there's not going to be any actual cost recovery for what is the labor cost done under the civilian staff costs. So we have trimmed a little bit down, and it was approved. OPPBA came back and said that the rate should basically be the same rate that is used in the presentation of your cost estimates for your budget. So basically, the majority of the mission uses what is for international staff at the FS level, because here we're talking about mechanics. We're talking about people that is actually doing the job. We captured what is the FS4 step 6 level and what is the GS4 step 6 level. And the other thing that they mentioned is that there has to be consistency across all the SAUs, or let's say the cost centers. So even if let's say SAU has all G6s, the recommendation that OPPBA made was you only use one rate, which is the rate that you're actually using inside your budget submission. So this is what we've done, and we actually updated the rates that were provided by the missions, putting in there what was at the FS4 step 6 level and at the G4 step 6 level. As you see, there's a repeatance when it comes up to the activity rate, okay? Because basically inside Umoja, when you have one activity rate, that activity rate can be used across cost centers and across missions. It's always the same activity rate. So that is why it's kept very, very generic, okay? So what you were asked to do is to validate basically the cost center that is using that activity and basically what was the rate. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is throughout the following months, before we go with another round of basically data collection, especially when it comes up to the Galileo decommissioning, make sure that if inside Galileo, and I'm talking about what is the maintenance module, you're capturing what is the labor cost, and here I'm talking about your internal labor cost, for any maintenance done to what is NEPs, okay, make sure that that workshop or that SAU, and therefore a cost center, okay, is created as a work center inside Umoja. Okay? Now, what I will do is I will leave the floor to the missions to ask any questions if they review the files or anything like that. Okay? Any questions?
Yes, one question
Sam,
from
can you move the work centers? You know, there is a question for Unmis. Can you move the screen to the work centers? Because I have a question from the chief GITTS, you know, where is his maintenance of the computer equipment? If this is maybe under under the office equipment services, that means GITTS, all maintenance goes only under the office equipment services?
Okay, which one is your plant? Umis.
Sorry?
What is your plant?
Unmis, yeah.
Your plant number. Is it SS10? I think so, right? Or AF10?
Yeah, possible.
I think it's SS10. So basically, if you see
SS10,
here, if you see on this one, you do not see what is your GITT, okay, services in here. Now, you do not see your GITT services in here, but if we have a look, basically, at what is the rates, now, hold on. What is your GITSS work center? Cost center, I'm sorry.
58, I think it's 58. It's ending with 58. There's supposed to be 10153. Possible. No, he mentioned it this morning.
Yes.
I cannot do anything.
So basically you have it here. If you see, in terms of work center, we did not ask the creation of a GITT work center because your mission is already using what is the service delivery module. And your JIT's cost center, let's say work center, is already created in there. But we have asked to include what is the rates and those activity types to associate them to the existing work center of GITSS. Now, if you see, hold on, let me just...
They don't have a drawdown menu.
Okay, if you see from here, these are the ones that were currently inside production. So basically your work center for JITS is ICT B118. It was already in existence inside Umoja.
Okay, Sam, that's, I know, I will tell the chief, yeah.
Okay, so you can tell your chief CITS or GITSS that basically they already existed as a work center. They did not have what was those activity types with associated rates associated to their work center, because basically when they came out with the first data collection, it was mainly associated with what was cost recovery. So it was telephone billing for them. It was basically, installation or ICT services, during a conference or something like that. But now with the Galileo decommissioning, here we're talking about what is statistical. If they want to basically capture the cost, the labor cost, to actually fix what is a printer or, inside a data center, a router or whatever. Okay?
Okay, I have a question. This is Ronald in MINUSMA. I just want to understand what do we do for services that are offered by ICs? I could follow your presentation. We have rates for national staff and international. What do we do for rates that represent services offered by ICs? That's the first question. And then the second question, I think let's go with the first one. I'll ask the second afterwards.
Okay, so basically to attend your first question, we need to keep on what is the Galileo decommissioning scope, okay, for the time being. So basically, if you are capturing the cost of individual contractors which are doing maintenance on your NEP inside Galileo, okay, you will need to basically do that inside Umoja as well. So what is that activity that would be an activity type. So you will need to include it in here, and we can call it what is contractual labor. Okay? So basically you will need to inform us that you need this activity type. You need to tell us which one is the SAU, okay, and which is the cost center associated to that SAU that is using that activity. And then you will need to provide us what is the rate per hour of that activity. Now, if you have individual contractors which are performing what is other type of activities that you're not capturing inside Galileo, but you're doing cost recovery with it, that is a complete different story. And I would recommend you basically talk with what is your service delivery local process expert in the mission area.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that responds to the question very well. In fact, the second question was on services that are outsourced. For example, I saw somewhere you had fuel supply services, and in our case, obviously, maybe for other missions, those services are outsourced to a contract under turnkey contract. But I guess that's responded to in your second part of the question, because that's then done through cost recovery rather than through this Galileo sort of costs.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And just on a side note, because you brought this up, the reason why we're not putting what is contractual services in here is as well because if you have, for instance, a company, okay, which is doing the maintenance, okay, on your printers or whatever, and it's a commercial company, okay, what you will be doing is throughout what is the maintenance, let's say, module inside the Moja, okay, you will be connected directly to that contract. So basically, it's not part of the service delivery module. It's something completely different.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good.
Welcome.
Okay, question from Minuska.
Go ahead, Minuska. Minuska, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Can you send us a list of sort of activity types that we would generally use in capitalizing assets, so we can cross-check with it to make sure we don't miss anything? The second question is that for additional activity types, for example, the contractors, do we request it through the master data creation process, or we can still do the upload? Thanks.
Okay, basically, as I mentioned earlier, regardless of what is capitalization or anything like that, here we're talking about what the scope of this is to basically provide you what is the same functionalities that you currently have inside Galileo, okay, to continue to have them inside the Moja. So basically, if those activities, if you have that workshop, if you basically have that activity which you're capturing what is the cost inside Galileo, okay, then you should basically inform us. What was your second part of the question, sorry?
The procedure to request additional activity
the
type.
procedure. Basically, this data collection was processed for what is the Mach 2 exercise. Now, before go live, we will go with another data collection exercise at the best of my knowledge. However, so basically, you shouldn't be going through what is a regular master data maintenance process, but you would be requested to provide your inputs. However, just on a side note, on a yearly basis, the Office of the Controller comes out to the missions, asking them if they have anything concerning what is cost recovery or on the service delivery that they basically want to include and basically upload inside the Moja. Because this is basically, I'm not too sure if you are aware of the controller's memorandum when it came up to what is cost recovery mechanism. They want missions to provide what is a cost plan, a service catalog, and all the rates, and they will be the ones to actually approve it. So everything goes through OPPBA and the Office of the Controller before it can be uploaded inside what is Umoja. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Just to confirm my understanding, so there will be a what you mentioned, Mark 2, where we have the opportunity to do to request additional activity type in a sort of a mass load manner.
Yes, this for Mark 2 was already done. So you'll receive another data collection template after Mark 2. I mean, before go live.
Okay, thank you.
Question from Unmik?
Yes, Unmik.
Sam?
Yes.
Here's Driton, and I have participated in LPET for sales and distribution model.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify one thing, because we have standard rates before we have attended training even. And the logic from the mission here, it has been used the same rates that we have used in Galileo.
Yes.
You were saying, like earlier, and confirm if I understood you right, that you have taken for national labor side, you have taken FS G46, like average?
Yes, basically these are your cost centers here.
Correct.
After we went through OPPBA, review, they came back and they said we couldn't use the rates you have provided. So we basically fixed their rates, and we have used what is the FS4 step 6 gross salary with a post-adjustment of Christina, and basically the national staff rate at the G4 step 6. So brought it down to the hourly rate. These that are here.
That was actually exactly was my question, because there might be, a misunderstanding or a gap, because easily if you have used that logic and if there are clear instruction of how to do it.
Yes, we fixed it.
Mainly, we will take always like based on the salary scale. We will take use the same logic, and always if need to update the rates, we'll do the correct one based on the salary scale.
Driton, that's perfect. It's a right approach. And what I would recommend is you always ask what is your budget officer to basically update you on what is the, let's say, the rate they're using for what is the cost estimates of the civilian staff. So for sure, each mission, will have a different kind of rate, because not all the missions use FS4 step 6 or G4 step 6.
That's... Yeah. Because in Galileo before, what was the practice? It was like different cost centers. They have used the different rates based on their,
Yes, we've noticed that. Yes, and that is what was my argument with OPPBA. I said, we have left the freedom that basically each rate could be different for each cost center. So the missions came back to us with what was the average of the mission level they had within that cost center. And OPPBA said, no, we're going to go with what is the average that goes out of the budget submission. So that's why we had to refine them. So it wasn't a mistake from the mission. The mission was in good faith going, in the right direction.
Clear enough on our side. Whenever you communicate in the future, it would be nice to put a line, like just to give an example so that everybody...
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I have another question from Unmik regarding the activity types in the previous screen that you showed. The same description is for international personnel. What is the difference between two of them for national personnel services?
Okay, basically, you mean why are they repeated?
Yeah, like line number 2 and line number 4, they have the same activity descriptions, but they are different activity types.
If you see, the account code is different. So
Right.
basically, this is a statistical ledger, and this is non-spendable ledger, okay? So basically, what changes is the account code, it's the cost element. But you don't need to worry about this. What we need from you more is not the account code. What we will need but from the missions is to identify what is the name and the description, meaning what is it that you need. Then when it comes up to the master data of the cost element, those will be provided from OPPBA or from Umoja. Okay?
Okay,
Sorry,
thank you.
From Unison, I believe the S and N relates to non-spendable and statistical.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said. SL is statistical, NL is non-spendable. Yeah.
And R is the spendable, real spendable.
No, OPPBA came back and said you cannot have or do cost recovery basically on the civilian staff. So basically, you will not have a real, let's say, the RL cost element to it.
Okay, it's clear.
Sam, another question from Inus Kasem.
Yes, go ahead.
Sam, what will be the cost recovery for the project like infrastructure and whatever while we have the baseline cost already for that? Is that baseline cost going to go? Because the baseline cost already exists by meter square and whatever for all the projects, infrastructure and fixed building that we are constructing.
That is going to be completely different, Arsim. It's going to be out of what is the service delivery for statistical in terms of maintenance on what is, your NEP. Because on the project, there's an entire project module inside the Umoja which has its own transactions and does its own capturing of costs. So I assume it would be done under the project module of Umoja.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? Okay, Amandine, I'll leave it to you. Give you back the floor.
Okay, thank you, Sam. So open up the file. Okay.
So good afternoon, good morning to all of you. Now, thank you very much, Sam, for the presentation. Now, with Casimiro, we'll be talking about the preload validation for asset master and for equipment master.
Keep talking.
So we're going to pull out the file. First, I wanted to apologize for the difficulty that we have to put in place this training. Initially, it was supposed to be mocked in WebEx, and now we're doing in VTC. I hope that the quality will be satisfactory for all of you. It has been a little bit difficult, but I think now that we are on track, it should be easier for the remaining sessions.
So, sorry, this is Ammar from Andon. Did you send the presentation by email? Because the screen here is coming broken.
Okay. Talking. I'll send in about 2 minutes, please.
So you will send it by email. So you will have one PowerPoint. We had 2 or 3 weeks ago a presentation on the mock exercise and what are the preload and postload validation. Today we're going to just have a refresh on what are the controls that we're expecting to perform on preload, and we're going to have real example. So what information the mission will receive to perform the preload validation, what are the outcomes that we expect from it, why is it important for you, to be carefully looking at this file and ensuring that they are accurate and exhaustive, and a little bit of the timeline of when these things are and how to perform it. It's more, I think once we go through this exercise, I'm confident that you will feel more comfortable, performing the validation with the tool and the different reports that we provide to you. So,
1 second.
Just bear with us a moment. What you're trying to do.
Oh, it's PPT. Okay.
So the files that we're going to be presenting here are also available on the GDP Cosmos site. you will find the presentation along by COB today. We will provide the reports that has been run for the preload validation for each mission, and you will find the sign-off document for each mission that has to be filled and uploaded to Cosmos. Okay, so PowerPoint.
All yours.
Very good, thank you. So he's sending the email as well. So basically, just to explain on at the project level how we are working and how the overall data conversion is being performed. As we mentioned during last session, we have two teams working on the mapping of our Galileo records. The mission data conversion focal point in coordination with the SAU's representatives are mapping all the expendables. The data conversion team established in Brindisi is taking care of all non-expendable, high-value stock card, and batch managed item. So in order for us to migrate the data from Galileo to Imoja, the first step is to assign a product ID in the Imoja catalog. This is what you've been doing for a couple of months, and this is what the mock actually is validating. So once you assign a product ID, in the staging database, we apply transformation rules to convert and massage the data in Galileo in a suitable format for Imoja. So this is pushed in an area, in an exchange database where Imoja team is picking it up and loading into SAP. The first exercise that we're going to be doing is the preload validation. Preload validation is to verify that the data that has been extracted from Galileo is consistent, the integrity and the consistency of the data has been respected, and the exhaustivity. So two key aspects. First, that we didn't alter the data unless it was specified in the business rules. Second verification is that everything that has to be, all our belonging basically in Galileo that is supposed to go to Imoja is present there. So this is the end result that we're trying to achieve. Mock are intermediary milestone. Mock 1, we wanted to test that 40% of our holdings has been correctly converted, mapped, transformed to go to Imoja. We did the exercise and it was satisfactory. Mock 2 that we are in now, we try to have 70% of our holdings properly mapped, transformed, and ready to go to Imoja. And this is what we're going to be validating. So your role is to ensure that all the data that has been mapped is present in the load file, is consistent with what we have in Galileo, and ready to be loaded into SAP. Post-load validation is okay. What we have sent to Imoja has been properly created into Imoja, and we can perform our operation in Imoja. So as part of post-load verification, you will be asked to log into Imoja, take a look at the data, maybe perform some transaction to ensure that not only the data is exhaustive, is consistent, but also is actionable. We can perform operation on it. Okay? So this is our working environment exchange with SAP. So every time the mock client is where we put the data first, push it to Imoja, and Imoja extracts the data from the system to us to perform the different verification. As I mentioned, 40% was the objective of Mock 1, 70% is the objective of Mock 2. We will see on the reports, if you take at the presentation slide 7, you have the numbers. In terms of scope of data object, we discussed it last time, we have the assets, equipment master, equipment assignment, inventory, warehouse conversion, which is the pin location and where the inventory are sitting, and activity types, rates, and work centers. We also added the functional location for the equipment assignment. So you've been asked to provide a counterpart in the mission who's going to be signing off on each of these load files. Like I said, make sure that it's consistent with what we have is Galileo, is exhaustive, everything that needs to be pushed has been pushed, and is actionable. So in terms of process, just to summarize again, first, the data conversion team is pushing and transforming the data, pushing it to the staging area. We have the Emoja process experts that verify that the data is aligned with the expectation of to be loaded into SAP. So this is a technical verification. Then here, the project team as well is performing and automating a lot of controls on behalf of the business, because it's easier to verify 200,000 records programmatically than asking user to go one record by one record. So we split the work. All the comparison in terms of value, in terms of field content has been automated. What we ask you to verify, and we're going to see it in detail, is what is missing, what is not aligned. Okay? So process first. Process expert, business validation, Emoja technical team do additional technical verification, load the data into SAP, extract what has been imported, send it to business. We do automated control, create a report that is being sent to the mission for review, approval, and sign-off. So now we're going to start the first part of the presentation with the asset verification. So it's a file for those who cannot see the screen. So for the sake of this presentation, we just took an example of a mission, which is big enough. We have all type of different cases, so we can show what are the different issues you might be facing and what are the attention areas that you have to focus on. So all the report, we start with one summary page. It's the first tab that shows you for the mission, for all the assets, based on their sub-statuses, how many records we have in Galileo, and how many have been put into the load file to be loaded in Emoja. As I mentioned before, we will have a discrepancy as of now, because one, we haven't mapped 100% of our holding in Galileo. We're just trying to aim at 70%. And second, not everything in Galileo will be migrated to Emoja. If KKS can confirm, everything that has been finalized in terms of write-off, everything that is in the disposed status, will not be migrated to Emoja. So here you can see everything is in transit, will be migrated, but it will be a separate verification. It's a separate process. So everything pending receiving and virtual good receipt will be migrated.
But just to make the point that this is from Mach 2, as we move on, we will be, the only thing we'll be excluding is anything that has already been approved for write-off. So, and that's approval by your DMS or CMS.
So when you'll be performing the preload validation for dress rehearsal, you have to ensure that everything except approved write-off and disposed material has been included into the load file, because this is what's going to be loaded into Emoja. So when you're going to decommission Galileo, it will no longer be accessible. So this is really critical. Okay. So here you have a summary of what we have in Galileo, what we have in the load file. Then you have a detail of what is missing in the load file. So as you can see, most of them are pending write-off, are unit stock, and so on. For dress rehearsal, only the two that we mentioned earlier should be present here. For now, it's just for informational purpose. You can review and see that if everything that is mentioned here should be included in the mock, because you've mapped it in your web portal, or because all the product with same ID has been mapped. So it's a mean for you to take a look and see what is missing and should be included. As we mentioned, the provisional RNI and the in-transit will be included in the second part of Mach 2. We'll communicate on that. So here is the discrepancy that we've... So as part of the of the control, I was saying that there are things that has been automated because we don't see any value of doing it manually. So first, we have a program that checks the consistency of the asset recognition date. Program, you have a result here, everything matches. So we, as a project team, inform you that all the records for your mission have the same recognition date between the load file and Galileo. Same thing, they have the same useful life. They have the same acquisition value, except 16 records. So there are 16 records where we see a discrepancy in terms of acquisition value. What we do first is to analyze. Is it a problem coming from the program that creates the load file? Or is it something that is in the data itself? So here you have the detail of these discrepancies. In occurrence here, in Galileo, in the load file, the data has been put into a column that is called trans amount legacy transfer data. I don't know if you have information on this.
But those are discrepancies based on just a couple pennies, no?
No. Basically, in Galileo, you have a capitalized value, depreciation, and a net book value. Right. What we push in Imoja is 0 in these 3 columns. But if you look at this column, which is a trans amount legacy data, they put the correct amount. So the amount is equivalent, but it's not on the same, it's not reported the same way.
Okay, so those are ones obviously to follow up on. These may have even showed up before. We've had some issues with impairment amounts, like when we add in Galileo, when we do something like impairment, for example, we remove it from the acquisition value, and that might be what's happening. So the point would be for us to understand why we have a difference. In this case, I think it's a business rule. It's the way the finance team in Umoja is expecting to get that.
Okay.
But it's what we would look into.
Exactly. So we identify the discrepancies programmatically. We discuss internally. We exchange with Imoja, try to understand. And if it's an error on the program, it's going to be fixed before it reaches out to the mission. If it's a different in accounting principle from one system to the other, we just highlight it so you are aware of the impact of the data moving from Galileo to Imoja, what type of impact you will have accountably. And this has to be reported as well, maybe as part of the, for audit purposes, to say, okay, because we change system, because the rules are different for these assets, the accounting principle will be different. And then you can document it and prepare for a financial statement. So we are also checking if there are any assets that are in the load file that we cannot find in Galileo. Here again, you're going to find some example, but it's because as part of the conversion data, we reformat this inventory technical ID number. Sometimes you're entering the data with some space, it's not structured. So we just remove the unnecessary extra spaces to have it consistent throughout the different missions. But these are not real discrepancies. It's just, it would be nice for you to go in Galileo and maybe update the technical ID, remove the extra space, so we're going to have 100% consistency. But as mentioned in the comment, these assets exist in Galileo, but technical ID has been reformatted to remove extra spaces. Okay. So basically, it's pretty straightforward. You have what you have in Galileo, what you have in the load file, what is missing. You take a look and say, okay, this is normal, it's pending write-off. This is not normal, it should be there because we map this ID. And then, as part of the final comments that we're going to have, we have to go to the Cosmos. I'm just going to show you what it will look like in Cosmos. So once you review and exchange with us, if you have additional questions, if things are not clear enough, you can come back, reach out to us and have additional information on this. Do you have anything would like to mention?
No, other than if for some reason you want to run additional reports, business objects reports, use the February 2017 snapshot. Because that's what we're using as a reference point.
Yeah, very good point. So in order to have something that we can compare, we decided that we will take the snapshot of the Galileo data as of end of February 28th. So if you go to BO, you want to do extra reports and do some analysis.
Yeah, if you pull, for example, if you run a report on the live data, maybe you've acquired some things, they're not in our load file, and you might say, oh, that's a discrepancy, but it's not. For us, it's the end of February.
Exactly. So once you review this report and you're satisfied with the extract and you validate it, you can go to the Cosmos site. I think the deployment coordinator will send the link. You will have a repository under data technology called MOC2. So you have the... I'm sorry?
Make it bigger.
You have the pre-mission preload validation. So here you have data extract, is a report that you've just seen. So for each load file, you're going to have one report with the name of the mission first, and then this is going to serve as the basis for your validation. Once you've completed the validation, then you're going to go to sign off, and you will find a document here that has to be filled and signed and uploaded. So basically, it's the name of the load file that we're validating. The step is the preload validation. It's for MOC2. If you have any comments, any concern, or any point that has not been resolved during our interaction, you can mention it here, sign, and just upload. So you're going to have hard deadlines to submit these files, because it's going to condition the following steps. First is mission preload validation, then loading of the data, and then post-load. And we cannot delay, because we have 4 weeks to upload all the data into Umoja, and we cannot really delay. We don't have any margin, any buffer. So for assets, it's due next Friday. By COB today, you will have all your reports available in Cosmos, and you have tomorrow and Friday to perform the validation. Reach out to us and sign and send us the confirmation. So this concludes the first report on assets. Now we're going to present. It's the same principle for all the files.
Do we need to clarify that when we say assets, we mean PP&E?
Yes, it's important to clarify that.
Yeah, because we in our Galileo world, sometimes we use the word asset a little bit lazily, asset manager, and it's all NEP, but no, we're talking about only PP&E in the system.
So now the same thing for equipment. So for equipment, you're going to receive a file on the repository. First tab is a summary based on generic description, how many records we have in Galileo, how many we have in the load file. So you're going to see that we're going to have some discrepancy, but most of them are here. By equipment, we can define as well, it's all serialized material.
Okay, so by equipment, we're still talking about, now we're talking about non-expendable, all non-expendable property, including PP&E, exactly. Because the way it works, the way the data conversion works, the files that are required for financial assets, it's slightly different than what's required, or very different than what's required for equipment records in Umoja. So all of the fixed asset records that we're converting must have an equipment record as well. In Umoja, very rarely can you have an asset without an equipment record, and that's usually real estate, is intangibles and things like that. But for PP&E, we have to have both.
Yes. And here you have the list of all the generic descriptions, the number of items you have in the mission, and the number that are part of the root file. Similarly to assets, we have one tab that gives you all the records that are not present into the root file. So you have the barcode, and you have all of the details that tells you yes or not it is in the root file. One critical piece that we wanted to discuss is that there is a difference between the product definition and categorization between Galileo and Umoja. In Galileo, we have what is called the financial threshold that dictate whether or not one particular material is fixed asset or not, or is serialized or not. In Umoja, there is no financial threshold. The material type dictates whether or not it's serialized or not. It has an equipment or not. So, as a business principle, it has been defined that everything that is NEPs, non-expendable, should be migrated to Umoja with the equipment records. It doesn't mean that it's serialized in Umoja. It means that even though it's not serialized, we're still going to have the equipment records so we don't lose information throughout the migration of system. But there are other holdings or records that we have in Galileo that are not NEPs that becomes NEPs in Umoja, that becomes serialized. And for those, we have to create new equipment based on the information that we have in Galileo. This is what you see here. The technical identification number is not something that corresponds to a real barcode in the mission, but something that has been generated by the data conversion team in order to comply with Umoja's requirements. So you're going to have much more equipment in SAP, in Umoja, than you used to have in Galileo. And this is something that you have to be mindful. This is something that you have to review and come to us if it's an issue for you, because in terms of property management and verification, it has an impact. So I let Cass.
Well, we've had these discussions because we don't want to frighten you into thinking that if you have 30,000 non-expendable property records in your mission, and then in Umoja you have 40,000, that now your scope of physical verification increases or so on. In Umoja, the concept is that you can have an equipment record for maintenance reasons, and that's it. It's not for accountability reasons. The example that we always give can be something as minor as a simple fire extinguisher. Okay, in the material master, they may say we need that to be serialized because we want to at least be able to maintain an inspection record against it. So there will be many items that we wouldn't expect that would be included in KPIs, that we wouldn't expect PCIU to physically verify, but they're there for maintenance reasons. Air conditioners is probably an example.
Exactly. You have the body armors.
Body armor is one. I know that one might be a little controversial, but the Department of Management has stated that body armor is something that we need to track individually.
Safety mask.
Yeah, so now we see helmets and things like that. It's not what we're used to in Galileo, but nevertheless, now we have to change the way of thinking. Many years ago, Galileo was filled with very low value air conditioners, right? And they were the air conditioners that were coming with the prefabs and so on. And we did a cleansing exercise, and we said these things can't be non-expendable property. They don't even meet the criteria of the STAI. Manage them as expendables. In a way, Umoja reverses that now. And Umoja says you can have an equipment record because you may need to maintain that air conditioner.
Yeah. So similarly as well to asset, we do a lot of verification at a programmatic level, making sure that all the fields, serial number, alternator make, QVAs, fuel card, license plate, every single data piece for the equipment is consistent with the load file. So this is done automatically, and we have the report. So nothing is expected from you, instead just to verify and make sure that the report is aligned. But this is our internal process of interacting with the technical team. So same thing as well in Cosmos, you will have the report for equipment. So in Mach 2, preload validation, data extract, equipment master, you have the file, and if you go to sign up, you have the sign up document to upload. Okay? So So this will conclude the presentation. Now we're going to enter the QA session. Do you have anything to add, maybe, to add on this?
We want to, should we talk about zero valuated, split valuated?
Split valuated will come with inventory.
With inventory. So when do we talk about inventory?
Inventory is next Tuesday.
Okay.
So next Tuesday we'll talk about physical inventory and warehouse, where you have the split valuated, where they need to verify.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yes, Monusco, we have one question here from the BDU.
Sure, thank you.
Go ahead. Yes, go
Okay. From the cases approved, all cases approved will not be transferred or migrated to Umoja. We understand that. What happens is which are approved but they are not completed, they are not removed from the inventory until the final disposal action is taking place. What happens to this equipment or assets or inventory? One. The second one is, what about those which are in process, in the right of process, which are not reaching at the approval stage? So are we going to migrate them to Umoja, or is there any way to handle them in Galileo?
The pending approval will have to be brought into Umoja, and I will have to speak with Kirill Serafimov, the chief of the property management unit, to get agreement on the way forward if an incomplete write-off process needs to start again in Umoja. My understanding is that that's the direction they're moving. So it's in your interest to at least get your DMS to approve what's already in the pipeline before 31 July. Because 31 July is our last data load from Galileo. If it's approved for write-off, but disposal action is still pending, then that will not go into Umoja. And for operational purposes, let's say to finalize that until disposal, again, I'll have to speak with Kirill to see if Galileo as a system can stay in place to at least facilitate that process. With the decision as to how or when to freeze Galileo is not quite defined yet, because we have one mill, for example, that's liquidating. It might stay open, so we need to get some agreement on that.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
My name is Ronald Collins from MINUSMA. Just wanted to, on the validation stage, you indicated that there may be some form of expected discrepancies. For example, the cases that are pending write-off was one of the examples you gave. I'm just trying to check if there are any other sort of expected discrepancies that you've noted from your work, so that when we are doing it on our side, these are not things that we'll spend time on.
Well, Babacar provided the summary, the checkpoints of the things that we do. They're the most straightforward data comparisons that you don't need to do, right? There's no point in wasting time on that. What kind of discrepancies could we find? We saw a small example with MONUSCO, with acquisition value. The discrepancies that will probably, or what we're calling discrepancies is sort of a bad word, because that implies a problem. But the point is this: you might run your report and you say, I've got 100 items. They've loaded 80. Why this difference of 20? And those difference of 20 will likely be a status-related issue. So the point in the validation at that summary level, let's say, is so that you understand why they're out for, let's say, even audit purposes, because even though we're going to be audited centrally on this, you might also have to answer these questions. So for fixed assets, for example, we expect that the acquisition values and all the dates and stuff that's in Galileo gets moved right over. We do as much check as possible, but you need to be aware and acknowledge that some are out because of a status reason. That's the biggest difference that we're seeing now. Later on, when we talk about inventory, I don't want to jump ahead, but we will have a different set, maybe based on EOS development. How far we got with you in your bin location mapping. You might have items in warehouses that are not converted. We'll give you another set of reasons for that. But right now, the main reason is I think, status related.
Yes. Thank you.
Other questions?
Babakar from MINUSCA. Hello?
Hello, yes.
Okay, we're listening to you.
Please go
Ziad.
ahead.
Okay, I'm leaving the turn to Ziad. So Ziad is first.
Okay, Ziad.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. Now we are attending from very tiny monitor. We cannot see the Excel table. My only question, whether we will have a to-do list or checklist included as well, so to make sure that all the steps are followed before we submit the file or not.
He's talking about cookbook.
I understand.
We can do something like that. Review, but it would be the same way as we walked you through it. But yeah, okay. So that's a valid point. We could say something like that. Review your summary. Check your discrepancy, and so on. We can come up with a
to-do list. So
with
you know what to do, and as well to document the assumption or the rules that has been defined for the data migration. If we say that everything that is not disposed, so you say okay, not everything that has been written off is not included. You have to make sure that everything that is available in stock and use is loaded. But for Mark 2, it will be, we're going to provide a summary, a cookbook, but it will be more applicable for address rehearsal, because there you're going to have 100% of your holding. So everything that is missing is an issue. Here, like we said, it can be missing because the mapping has not been finalized. It can be missing because we are working on the in-transit stock. So we're going to provide the summary and some disclaimer for Mark 2.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, because of course we cannot take all the points during our VTC. It will help a lot. You know, this is during our submission of the financial reports. We make sure that nothing is missing and all the steps are followed before we sign off on the document. Of course, you are asking us to sign off on the submission, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, Babakar, MINUSCA had the same question, so it's answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? You can stop here. No?
All right.
Okay, so that's very good. It means that everybody is comfortable providing the sign-off by Friday, COB. So that's a very good news for us. If you have any follow-up question, please feel free to send us.
This is this Friday, am I right? In 48 hours.
Yes. But like we said,
okay.
we've done a lot of work on behalf of the mission to compare that data has no discrepancy. So it's more a review. And what we want is to also an understanding of the impact of moving from Galileo to Emoja. Like we said, on the serialization profile, on the difference of product attributes. So it's very important to really, understand, acknowledge that, and if it's an issue, to raise it.
And then the rotation of the Earth is working in your favor, so please.
Okay, so thank you. Just before we go, just to recap, we will be sending you kind of a summary instruction of, what kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of steps, okay? Maybe later today. So that you will be able to kind of working on it tomorrow.
If we put it on the website, on the Cosmos, we have the instruction for the preload validation. You will have the report for each of the mission in the repository as well.
Yeah. Okay.
By end of the by COB.
Yeah. And also for tomorrow, there will be the session on the purchase order conversion by Emma. And as I have mentioned earlier, that for those missions who will not have the access to, like, for example, the big auditorium tomorrow, we will be sending you the link so that you can open from your browser, and then, you can call into the audio bridge line to listen to it. But I will also make sure that we send you the presentation or whatever that Emma is planning to present before the session, just to make sure that, everybody can see and can hear and can look at the presentation while we are kind of talking. Okay, so sorry that few things are happening at the beginning, but I think we are kind of okay, and thank you for your time, and especially for those missions who have a holiday today and still coming. Okay, so thank you very much, and then we will see you again tomorrow. Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Casimiro. Cas.
Sulaiman, how are you? I'm good. Batu.
We are the United Nations.
Yeah.
Just.
The left. Sam.
UNLB left long time ago.
No, it's here.
No, I'm here.
Sam, you're there, right?
Yeah.
Sam, hi, this is Uttam from OSC Syria.
Hi, Uttam. Tell me.
How are you doing?
Surviving.
Okay, look, a couple of things, First of all, we have serious staffing issue here, and, George is the only one who is doing all the data validation and everything, and now he's in your town,
Yes,
in the next term camp, right? This is one. We will do whatever best we can, but I don't know how far we can reach the deadlines or meet the deadlines. The second thing is, do you know anything about our plant SY20?
No, I haven't heard anything from New York.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Now, today or yesterday, one of our colleagues was trying to raise requisition, and it says SY20 is marked for deletion or something. She couldn't raise it because it's system contract. Or we have sent an email to PD, but I don't know. Probably I'll have to send an email to the same group and ask them what's happening with our SY20. I understand it will take time, but to create one plant, 6 months.
No, that's too much. But unfortunately, I think when it comes up to the plants, it goes through a validations of the business. I think it goes through. I'm not too sure if it goes through OPPBA or not.
The last email they said it was all approved and they are in the process of creating it.
Ah, okay. So it shouldn't take that long to create it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Send me the latest email that you received where they said it was approved.
I will write
I'll-
back to them, and then I'll copy you so that you can push them a bit
Yeah,
as well.
let me see if I recognize any of the names on that email, and I'll try to give a friendly call to see what is the status, what is the showstopper.
I'm sure you know the names, most of it. All right, thanks.
Okay, welcome, Mutam.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest
Bye.
of the day. Ciao.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Okay.